The Afghan National Army is the land warfare branch of the Afghan Armed Forces. It is under the Ministry of Defense in Kabul and is largely trained by US-led NATO forces. The ANA is divided into 7 corps, with the 201st in Kabul followed by the 203rd in Gardez, 205th in Kandahar, 207th in Herat, 209th in Mazar-i-Sharif, the 215th in Lashkargah, and the 217th in the north. The current Chief of General Staff of the ANA is Lieutenant General Yasin Zia. The Afghan National Army traces its roots to the early 18th century when the Hotak dynasty was established in Kandahar, followed by Ahmad Shah Durrani's rise to power. It was reorganized in 1880 during Emir Abdur Rahman Khan's reign. Afghanistan remained neutral during the First and Second World Wars. From the 1960s to the early 1990s, the Afghan army was equipped by the Soviet Union. By 2014, most of Afghanistan came under government control, with NATO playing a supporting role. The majority of training of the ANA is undertaken in the Afghan National Security University. In 2019, the ANA had approximately 180,000 soldiers out of an authorized strength of 195,000. Historically, Afghans have served in the army of the Ghaznavids and the Mughals. The Afghan National Army traces its origin to the early 18th century when the Hotak dynasty rose to power in Kandahar and defeated the Persian Safavid Empire at the Battle of Gulnabad in 1722. When Ahmad Shah Durrani formed the Durrani Empire in 1747. The Afghan army fought a number of battles in the Punjab region of India during the 19th century. One of the famous battles was the 1761 Battle of Panipat, in which the Afghan army decisively defeated the Hindu Maratha Empire. The Afghans then fought with the Sikh Empire, until finally, the Sikh Marshal Hari Singh Nalwa died and Sikh conquest stopped. In 1842, the British unsuccessfully tried to conquer Afghanistan, resulting in the 1842 retreat from Kabul. At the outbreak of the Second Anglo-Afghan War, Ali Ahmad Jalali cites sources saying that the regular army was about 50,000 strong and consisted of 62 infantry and 16 cavalry regiments, with 324 guns mostly organized in horse and mountain artillery batteries. Sadra cites Jalali, who writes that, although Amir Sher Ali Khan is widely credited for founding the modern Afghan army, it was only under Abdur Rahman that it became a viable and effective institution. In 1880, Amir Abdur Rahman Khan established a newly equipped Afghan army with help from the British. The Library of Congress Country Study for Afghanistan states, when came to the throne, the army was virtually non-existent. With the assistance of a liberal financial loan from the British, plus their aid in the form of weapons, ammunition, and other military supplies, he began a 20-year task of creating a respectable regular force by instituting measures that formed the long-term basis of the military system. These included increasing the equalization of military obligation by setting up a system known as the Hasht Nafari, constructing an arsenal in Kabul to reduce dependence on foreign sources for small arms and other ordnance, introducing supervised training courses, organizing troops into divisions, brigades, and regiments, including battalions of artillery, developing pay schedules, and introducing an elementary disciplinary system. Further improvements to the army were made by King Amanullah Khan in the early 20th century, just before the Third Anglo-Afghan War. King Amanullah fought against the British in 1919, resulting in Afghanistan becoming fully independent after the Treaty of Rawalpindi was signed. It appears from reports of Naib Sullah Abdur Rahim's career that a cavalry division was in existence in the 1920s, with him being posted to the division in Herat province in 1913 and Mazar-i-Sharif after 1927. The Afghan army was expanded during King Zahir Shah's reign, starting in 1933. In 1953, Lieutenant General Muhammad Daud, cousin of the king who had previously served as Minister of Defense, was transferred from command of the Central Corps in Kabul to become Prime Minister of Afghanistan. Periodic border clashes with Pakistan seem to have taken place between 1950 and 1961. From 1949 to 1961, Afghanistan-Pakistan skirmishes took place along the frontier, culminating in fighting in Bajor Agency in September 1960. This led to a break-off in diplomatic relations between the two countries in September 1961. From the 1960s to the early 1990s, the Afghan army received training and equipment mostly from the Soviet Union. In February to March 1957, the first group of Soviet military specialists was sent to Kabul to train Afghan officers and non-commissioned officers. At the time, there seems to have been significant Turkish influence in the Afghan armed forces, which waned quickly after the Soviet advisors arrived. By the late 1950s, Azimi describes 3 corps, each with a number of divisions, along the eastern border with Pakistan and several independent